everybody. We are here again today with another edition of Trey's Chow Down Live. And in the studio, I have Travis Heim.
Hey, brother.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming by, man. I really appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here, man.
I'm happy to have you here. You're one of the barbecue legends here in Fort Worth now. Going fast and furious.
Well, I appreciate it. I don't know if I agree with you, but
you started off on a donkey, now you're riding a stallion.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, Travis, you like chicken? Don't do chicken over there?
No, we do chicken wings.
Chicken wings,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and we used to do them just on Wednesdays, and then now we do them on the weekends. But I'm real particular about chicken wings, so yeah, there's a whole process. We brine them, and then with a little bit of pickle juice in our brine, and then we'll actually smoke them, almost do a cold smoke on them, chill them, and then we fry them, and then we'll toss them in the sauces. So you get a little bit of that acidity from the pickle juice, and then the smoke and everything. So I don't know, it's a lot of labor just for a chicken wing, but whatever.
It's all right, though. Just the flavor profile.
Yeah.
Chicken wings, everybody does them nowadays, and they have to really be good to stand out.
Makes a huge difference.
That's great.
Yeah,
So you, Travis, I met you the first time. It seemed like a decade ago, but it really wasn't a decade ago. It was over. What's the name of that place over there where you had your original trailer?
The Republic Street Bar.
Republic Street Bar. Yeah. For some reason, I always forget that bar. I don't know why, but
yeah. It's we started with a food truck there, and you said a decade. It'll be 5 years in February.
Yeah.
So February 21st we opened of 2015. So
boys, time flies, doesn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, it's it feels like we were talking about that earlier, but it feels like yesterday I was there.
Yeah.
Just poking fires, and then now we got 2 restaurants, food truck, all this other stuff going on. So it's been crazy, but
it's a good ride, right?
Yeah, I feel blessed. I feel very blessed to be where we're at, and at the end of the day, you're just trying to make good food,
That's
and
right.
hopefully people show up. So
make people smile.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Are you a Texas boy? Are you from Texas?
Yes, I'm from Fort Worth. Yeah. So my folks' first house was on Fairmount, which is just a few blocks from Magnolia. So when we went from food truck to Magnolia restaurant, it was kind of a little cool thing because that was our first house, was only a few blocks away. So yeah, grew up here my whole life and went to school in Tyler in East Texas. And then my dad's family's from Marshall out there.
Oh yeah, we owned the Dairy Queen in Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, we did. We sold it that way. Yeah.
Okay, Neely's Brown Pigs and everything. Yeah. You know all about that.
Yeah,
so,
that's neat.
Yeah, it's fun. So grew up here and lived here my whole life, and anywhere I go, I feel like I just want to come back.
So we have, like I told you earlier, I started this show because I like to sit down and talk to people.
Yeah.
I've never actually, every time I've seen you, you've always been busy working.
Yeah.
So what gave you did you start cooking in the backyard? Yeah.
So, I mean, the first brisket I cooked, I was 12, I think, and it was on my granddad's old smoker. It was like one of those new Braunfels smokers, but when they used to make them out of steel, real nice one.
Right.
And I cooked it, and I didn't think it was worth a damn, but my mom said for years after, said that was the best brisket I ever cooked. And I was like, I think she's just messing with me, but I don't know. So I started with that, and then would just kind of cook for friends, and then just, passion turned into obsession, and,
And now you got to keep the lights on.
Yeah, exactly. Now I got bills to pay.
Well, you said 12, though. See, that's a phenomenal story to me. Most people don't start that young. What in your mind, if you can go back that far, what made it click for you? Because you've evolved to a big thing now. So what in your mind, what made it click? What made you want to do that at 12 years old?
That's a great question. Something I guess I didn't really think about until later, now because we do this for a living. But I was always around it. And so my grandfather would cook barbecue all the time. And it was kind of just a thing, initially where I was like, I wanted to emulate him. He's like a father figure to me. And so he would cook ribs all the time. And I just thought it was so cool, It was like just neat, you're dealing with a fire. And really enjoyed that. And then actually my Uncle Roger, he lived in Marshall, and he was a welder. He was a welder and a beer drinker, better beer drinker.
Yeah.
But he would weld some smokers, and so he'd weld them, and this is back 30, 40 years ago. And he had a couple really, really nice pits that he had. And so, we'd grow up going to his house, and he'd always have something on the smoker and that. So I think it was, we're talking about Neely's Brown Pigs, and Fort Worth, Angelo's and all that. I grew up around it, and it just became something that, you know, I don't even know if I think I enjoyed the cooking part of it more than actually the eating barbecue. And so from a very young age, when I was, you know, 12, 13, I started cooking a lot and grilling and doing briskets, ribs, all that. And then it just kind of slowly graduated to doing more and more. And then too, that kind of, you know, timing I think has a lot to do with it, but there's this whole new sort of revolution of barbecue.
Very much so.
Guys like Aaron Franklin, you know, he's the main one, but taking the old, you know, traditions and then kind of putting a new spin on it. And so then that kind of too, once, you know, we'd save up money in college for a 30-pack of beer and like a couple racks of ribs or something. You know, it's like, that's pretty much,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's like, and then we eat ramen the rest of the week.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So,
well, that's kind of new. That's kind of really neat. So when you bought your brisket the first one, because this is a neat story to me. It's a story of how you started because you've come so far. Did your mom go with you to storage? Your dad when you bought that, or your granddad? When you bought the first brisket, what did you do?
I mean, you're talking 18 years ago, probably. You know, so I think my mom, and I'm sure it was like just some select whatever, you know, not that great brisket, but and two, I remember actually for a couple hours I was like, this fire will not, you know, get to where I want.
Oh yeah,
all that. And I realized that the door had the thermometer stuck through the door, you know.
Oh, so it was letting out.
Well, it was sticking into the brisket.
Oh, okay.
So it was reading the temp of the brisket instead of
not the fire. Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, I'm throwing logs in this thing. Like, what the heck's going on? And yeah, it was just funny. But then, yeah, so I feel like I've improved since then.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
so how hot was it when you finally got you're throwing logs on? How you don't know?
Lord knows. It was like a flamethrower. You know, I mean, it was and it was a little bitty smoker too.
Yeah.
You know, so it was just whatever. But
that's funny.
I don't know. I guess it turned out all right. I can't remember that far back really. So
that's funny. So you did that and you started. And so what was your after you mastered the brisket? What did you do from there? Did you start doing ribs?
Yeah, really, and honestly, it was probably ribs first, because, you know, I cooked a few briskets, but it wasn't until college and then after where brisket was even, you know, super popular thing. And so ribs were the main thing, because my grandfather would always cook ribs for, like, family occasions. And so it was a big moment in my life when he asked me to cook the ribs for the family instead of him doing it. And I was like, whoa, that's awesome. This is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
So I had an old trash can, and it was literally just like a galvanized steel trash can, and had to put a heating element in the bottom of it that you could control it, and then it had a temperature gauge in the top and a hole, like a little, you know, quarter-size hole in the top. And so what you could do was put, there's 2 racks in there. You could put a pan of wood chips in the bottom, and then I'd put a little bit of a water pan in the middle, and then I could hang about 8 racks in it. And I'd cook ribs in that, and they were good too. Yeah, it was.
And the water pan was for the moisture, keep the moisture in the ribs.
Yeah, humidity, so it doesn't kind of dry out the surface area. Which I didn't know at the time. I'm just like, oh, this looks good, whatever.
Yeah. Do you know a funny story? It's not about barbecue, but and it's in my article I did for ABC. I was in Jamaica years back, 20 years ago. And we were in this tour van going from one place to the other, and I saw this smoke coming by, and all the windows from the van were down. We were driving kind of slow, and I smelled it. And this guy was cooking Jamaican jerk chicken in a trash can on the side of the highway and selling them.
Yeah.
And I went crazy with the driver. Said, "Hey, you got to turn around and walk by." So this guy had his own chickens in his own little farm. He was hacking them up, making jerk, and it was the best chicken
I'm sure
I've ever had. It was delicious.
Yeah.
I bought 3 for the road.
Yeah. Perfect, man.
So
that's
trash
some
can,
of the best stuff. Yeah, that's funny, but so it started with that, and then the first real smoker I had was a gift from my in-laws when my wife and I will be married 9 years next June, and they bought me a Smoky Mountain, Weber Smoky Mountain, and so the church we were going to, we had these lunches, once a month lunches. And nobody would go to them, it was like, whatever. It was just, chicken salad sandwiches and garbage. And so I asked the lady, do you mind if I bring a brisket? And she was like, sure, And so that, honest to God, was the first time that somebody outside of my family had our barbecue. And I still remember this old guy came up to me after, and he was like, who cooked that brisket? And I thought he was mad at me or whatever. And he goes, "That's the best brisket I ever had." And I was like, it was kind of like a moment of like, oh, my family's not just being nice. Like,
moment of clarity for you.
Be decent at this or whatever. And then so So that started, and then we got the smoker from my Uncle Roger. He had a smoker, and
was that a big smoker?
Yeah, 500-gallon probably propane tank, and it was the original smoker we had at the food truck.
Okay.
And so I called him, and he was an old Vietnam guy, you know, and just kind of, you know, just watch TV all day, and you know now, and I called him. I was like, I got $300. We were broke. I got $300. You know, do you think I could pay it off or something? You know, down the line, and he goes, just come pick it up. And so literally that next day, me and my wife and our dog, our Rottweiler lab, rented a U-Haul truck and a trailer because we had a '99 Honda Civic. So it's like, what am I going to get? You know, I don't have anything to get it with. And we drug it out of the mud and somehow got it into the trailer and got it back to Arlington where my brother lives.
Right.
And then that was the start of like our pop-ups that we did before the food truck. And then that's when it just turned into a thing, because it was like, then I was just finding excuses to cook barbecue.
Barbecue. So at what point did you decide to go do the thing at Panther Island,
Republic?
Republic.
So we had been doing we called it T&E Meat Club, Travis and Emma Meat Club.
Okay, that's neat.
Well, it was like Fight Club, you know, it's kind of like an underground, you know, whatever, and it was just friends and family, and it started out where I was like, I'm going to cook a couple briskets, and then we'd have somebody, friend, you know, play the guitar, cold beer, you know, whatever. It's just a backyard party. And then it turned into like 80, 90 people in a tiny house, and you're like, this is not, you know, neighbors are getting mad, and this is the whole thing. So so we had that, and we'd been doing that for about a year. And then what I would do, I had a job in security. I worked security for an oil company, and hated it. You know, it was just not for me type of thing. And so I'd do that, and I'd work, you know, 40-something hours a week. And then the second I got off work, I'd start cooking for our events, and then we'd do Saturday. And so I'd be up about 36 hours without sleep, because I'd be cooking through the night and all that. And so it coincided with I'd gotten laid off from my job. And it was one of those things where my wife has 100% been supportive, rock, you know, the whole time, and we wouldn't be where we're at without her. 100%. That's an understatement. And you know, it's one of those things like, you love barbecue, you're passionate about it. Let's just do it. Let's try to find something and go for it. And so I'd cooked with some guys in Austin, from John Lewis from Law Barbecue, and Aaron Franklin's a friend, and you know, I talked about maybe going and working with him, and we didn't want to really move to Austin, you know, that whole thing, and
that'd be a change.
Yeah, I know, and I would have enjoyed it, but it was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And so I found the food truck at Republic Street was for lease.
Okay.
And so
that's how that deal happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had it. His mom or dad, the guy that owned it, did. You know, tried to do something in it and just didn't work out, and so they just had it sitting there, and we had some mutual friends, and so, you know, he was probably like, who the hell is this guy trying to cook barbecue? But we literally, you know, worked out a deal and pulled up our smoker and just opened, and so that when we opened the food truck, we had about $100 to our name, seriously, and the trailer that the smoker was on was given to me by my father-in-law. The smoker was given to me by my uncle. You know, we like pieced together all this stuff, and then after we bought our first meat order, it was like, hopefully somebody shows up today, because we're going to be out of business tomorrow. You know? Like, I'd like to think there was some, like, you know, great planning behind it, but it was really just like, let's just see what happens.
You know, you said that, but you think this funny? There's people that do that now on a huge scale, where they open up a huge multi-million-dollar restaurant and they have any money in the bank. They're just praying and hoping people come. And I mean, serious, they do that. Yeah,
it's funny because we get, and you know, a lot of people do, but we'll get, hey, come speak at this business thing or whatever, and always preface it with, don't do what I did. It's a like I'm lucky, you know. It's like it just worked out.
But like, you know why? You know why it is passion. That's why it worked out for you. And you showed to me when we were out there talking, it's passion. And nobody's on my show unless I can tell they have passion. You have passion for it, and you took a business in a very short time. In today's times, what you've done is a very short time, because you've excelled at it, and you promote quality products, and you do a good job, and you care about the customer service. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's a good team, because you know, I'm not the most talkative person, you know. I mean, you kind of got to drag me in here to get me to do this, and I'm very thankful for it. But I'm more back of the house, smokehouse, you know, kitchen. That's my deal. And then my wife is great with the front of house, and she's all focused on hospitality and how can we serve the customers better. You know, how can we make sure our employees are happy. You know, that we have a good place for them to come to work. And so you got to have that. I mean, it's a whole thing. You have good food, but then you don't treat anybody well, then you're not going to be successful.
Not today's times, they go right next door.
Yeah.
And won't even say bye.
Yeah. That's true.
So what's your most memorable experience from your first food truck days when you started? Is there something that really sticks out in your mind? Other than the fact that you didn't have any more money, you hope somebody came to see you. Did they come see you that one day, the first day?
Yeah, you know, honestly, it's funny, and I was talking to my friend the other day. There's a group of buddies of ours that we all used to work at Joe T. Garcia's, you know, in Fort Worth. And
there's a little bit of history there.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't you like that? 100-something years of, or
and on the whole city block.
Yeah. So, but we have this group of friends that all work there, and the first day we were like, and two, it was February 21, 2015, and it was like a blizzard. It was literally like 20 degrees outside.
Oh wow!
Sort of food truck in a parking lot, and it's 20 degrees. And it's like, who cares? No, whatever. So we had about a dozen or so people, friends of ours, that came that day, and just some random people too. But I was telling one of them, still, if you hadn't have showed up that day, we probably wouldn't be here now. It was one of those things where it was just like, we opened the doors and is anybody showing up today?
Yeah. Like you had to have that. It was about, at that point, once you got it set, it was about putting that cash in the restaurant for the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we opened, we're cooking 2 briskets a day. I mean, it was very, very low. It didn't last long, but really for probably a month or two, and then we kind of slowly build up and selling out every day just to make sure that our food costs were good and everything. And it was great, and just because of that, it kind of helped build anticipation. But I think it was about 2 months in, we had a food critic come, a local guy, and gave us a really good review. And then I'm telling you, the next day, there was a line of like 30 people when we opened. And so then from then, really, about 2 months into opening we're cooking as much as we possibly could. And then I had, and I don't really talk much about this because a lot of the old guys weren't happy that we opened, and we kind of got some kickback on it. But a guy that I still really admire, John Sanford with BBQ on the Brazos, he let us rent a smoker of his for $1 a day. And so for that first couple of months, it was like our smoker was packed as much as we could get. And, I was probably just, crying my eyes out to him about something or whatever. And he's like, well, I got this one that I'm not using. And so
he's a very genuinely nice guy.
Yeah. And I'm happy there in Fort Worth, now, so that's great. But so when he let us borrow that, then we could double our capacity. And then we did that, and then the next day it wasn't enough. And so it was like, you're kind of like losing the win or whatever. Just like, whatever.
That's funny.
So, but it was cool. I mean, the food truck was a fun experience. And
at what point, in your food truck did you decide to say, Emma, or you and Emma talk about it and go, we just can't do this, we've got to get something bigger? And how did that evolve? So how did the first location evolve over there on Magnolia? How did you go about the process of, in your mind, you and Emma saying, okay, we've got to make a change, or let's make a change, and go from there? How did all that take shape? Yeah,
that's a great question. It was a number of things, probably, and for one, we were killing ourselves. I mean, initially she was working her normal job and then would come home and make, gallons of banana pudding and stuff for the thing. And then we went to 3 days a week, and a couple months in, she came on full time at the food truck. And so we'd cook briskets, and I'd be there in the morning all day, and then it was like 20-hour days. I'd sleep in the bar, or I'd sleep in my van just to catch a couple hours if I could.
Yeah, because you were having to man the smokers, correct?
Yeah. So and at that point, we couldn't really schedule it because the whole thing was full. So that morning we're cooking all our ribs, our bacon burn-ins, our sausage. As soon as that gets done, we're trimming briskets, putting them on, and then that's about right the time that we open. And so we got to go inside and we're serving people. I'm running out every 20 minutes to poke the fire, run back in. And then usually I'd be there till, sometimes 2 in the morning until we got done with everything. And So we hired a guy, Rowdy, that was a great worker.
And he's still with you now, right?
No, he moved to Marfa.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Marfa.
Yeah, he loves Marfa. Their family lived there for a while,
Okay.
and we were disappointed when he left, but was happy. He was awesome. So I think that was part of it, and the other was we really felt like we weren't serving our customers well.
Sure.
And what I mean by that, there's an example of this guy, and I'm dead, I'm like sweating and just miserable, cooking for 3 days, and this old guy comes up and literally starts cussing me out because he's like, I've been here 3 times, every time you're sold out, and just mad, and he's like, I'm gonna go to Railhead because they got ribs all the time or whatever, and I'm like, all right,
not the
man,
same product.
whatever.
Yeah.
But, well, it's just I get it, get it, and so we were getting that, and I'm telling you, it got crazy to the point where once we hired Rowdy, I could go home. So I'd go home at 2. I'd come back at like 6:30 in the morning. There'd be people there waiting.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, go home. Like, it's not that good. Like, come back. It's like, it's not you don't need to wait this long. And it was cool and it was a fun thing, but we're just like, our biggest thing from transitioning from the food truck to Magnolia and then now with the other restaurants is, how can we make that really, really good food? Farm to smokers are thing.
Keep it the way it is from the start.
Yeah, that quality, but then serve our customers, better. And
you and I both know that's difficult nowadays. Yeah. It's difficult for people to make that transition from a smaller mom and pop, may say a husband and wife, or just a husband with one employee, to a bigger operation. I mean, some people they can't make that transition, but y'all made it.
It's tough. I mean, we're making it. I think it's still, every day there's stuff that you're working on, and we were talking earlier, we have almost 100 employees now. And so to go from, you're talking one employee 5 years ago to now, 100 or almost 100. And it's tough, but that, I think with everything, with our growth from Magnolia to the New River location, anything else we do, is just looking at, okay, what's the most important thing? Food quality, number one.
Sure.
And then hospitality, making sure people feel welcome. And at the end of the day, my wife and I both felt really bad about, you don't need to wait 3 hours to come get the food. You don't need to stand outside in line when it's raining and all this. Like, we can provide a restaurant, we can provide all those things without you having to do that, and so, I don't know, I feel like we do a decent job of it, but it's still, you're just working it out.
Just still stand in line. When I used to go by Magnolia, when you first said they'd still stand in line over there.
Yeah, they still do. Even the other day, it was like Christmas Eve or something, we had a big line. And it's awesome, and that's the catch of it is you need that. You need customers coming in, and if the place isn't full, then you're not making money, but it's, that pairing that of, we want it to be as inclusive and accessible as possible for people. And, hopefully we do a good job of that.
So you're wearing 44 Farms. Is that the beef you use?
Yeah, so we use their 44 Farms ground beef in our burgers. They couldn't provide us briskets just because we go through too much.
Too many of them, yeah.
But that's our thing is farm to smoker. We kind of started that deal. And so we actually... I
like that, by the way.
Thank you, yeah.
Instead of farm to table, I think it's very... Because it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah, we're very passionate about where we source the meat from. Locality is important, but locality is really hard when you have such a protein-heavy menu. And so 44 Farms is great. Anytime I can get their stuff, we use it. We use their ground beef. Our briskets, we use certified Angus beef. They're prime grade briskets. And they've been a great partner with us for a while. And then probably the biggest difference of us and other places, we use Nyman Ranch pork for all of our pork. And so it's pasture raised, no hormones, no antibiotics.
That makes a difference in the flavor.
Oh yeah. The quality's, in my opinion, superior. But two, it's one of those things where, even how they process the animals, what they feed them, our meat supplier Ed out of Austin, he worked with Lone Star. He says, and Ed's great. They've been great partners with us, but he says the hogs have a great life, and then they have one really bad day.
Yeah, that's right. And then everybody else has good days.
Yeah. But and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you'd like this. We did an event in Austin with Stefan was there too the other day and had a great time. But Ed had calculated we've bought 1 million pounds of meat from them.
Oh, wow.
We just hit that last month. So
that's phenomenal.
Our brisket, our pork bellies, our ribs, our butts, everything.
Thank you. Did that hit home with you at all? 'Cause that's a lot. Did that hit home to you with you for a second when he said that to you?
It was crazy. Yeah. I mean, when you put it into perspective, and you know, there's 2 briskets on a cow.
That's
right.
So
it's like that's a lot of meat, and so you know the whole goal of that and the farm to smoker thing was, you know, we want to be kind of an agent of change if we can, and barbecue for a long time was the cheapest cuts, and
sure.
you know, sell it, and that's great, and that's, you know, totally the history of it. But you know, for us, can we use that prime beef? Can we use these pasture raised meats, and do a really good quality of it? But then also, you know, you look at 1 million pounds, so that's 1 million pounds of really, really good quality stuff. I mean, farmers that are putting their kids through school,
sure.
all that. That otherwise
one hand washes the other.
Yeah, and they do a great job, you know. So it's like I never have to worry about consistency or anything. You know, you're going to get a good product.
I cannot. And I know you hear this in 44 Farms, but I've been saying this for years. My dad's been saying it. My granddad was saying this 100 years ago. My great granddad. You have to know your farmer and know your rancher.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you want quality, and I think the last 10 years for sure, because of social media and everybody's falling in love with food, that it's up everybody's game. The smallest guy that owns the smallest food truck or just a trailer, he puts out quality products. I have a hard time going anywhere and just getting a bad meal anymore. Unless unless they screw up in the kitchen or something.
Right.
But people just, I think it's been good for the food industry. The restaurateurs, the chefs, the pitmasters, as a whole, this industry, because of what we've become through social media and through people falling in love with food and all the food shows on Food Network and stuff.
I think you're absolutely right. And two, you know, the reality of it is the change is money.
Right.
Because it's if people want to pay for it, and then people, you know, they'll buy whatever.
Yeah, they will.
If a lot of places, if you could sell, you know, no-roll briskets, they'd sell it. You know what I mean? But it's like, now it's one of those things where everybody's using prime, you know, and some guys are using Kobe or Wagyu or what, you know, all this other stuff, and so it's neat, and I feel like, you know, we've done our part in kind of helping with that, and you know, people expect. I had a lady that came and talked to me, and you know, not to talk trash about McDonald's, but she was like, I don't take my kids to McDonald's for a burger. I'll take them to a Kincaid's, or I'll take them to Fred's or something like that, where I know it's going to be really good beef, it's good ingredients, all that. And so she said the same thing about our barbecue, you know, that's why we come here. And so it's awesome when it hits home. Some people just look at the menu and go, this is too expensive. And like, yeah, you know, that happens. But, you know, most of the time people get it. So
sure. Let me ask you a question. I'll see if you can. So you started off with the first day, it was a 1 brisket or 2 briskets you cooked?
I think I just did one.
Okay,
you did
1 brisket.
And I think we actually had chili that day because it was so cold. Yeah,
okay. So chili. So 1 brisket. So what you started off with 1 brisket. What are you cooking today? Well, how many briskets do y'all put on a day now, or in the evening, or how do you do it?
So in terms of, I do all of our meat ordering still, and so like we'll do, usually on a busy week, we'll do about 100 cases for the week is what we'll get. So you're talking about 5 briskets to a case. So 500 briskets-ish per week. Wow. And then on a busier week, like before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, you know, we may be closer to 750, you know, something like that.
That's a lot, isn't it, from where you started?
It's a lot. I mean, especially when we opened Magnolia, we could cook 108. If we put, I think, 7 to a rack, we could do 108, or 6 to a rack. I'm not good at math, obviously. That's why I cook barbecue. You know, so. But it's been crazy. So now between the 2 restaurants and the food truck, and then we have our catering business, it's a lot. It's a lot of meat.
How many smokers are on the river?
We have 3. 3 of the Oilers. Okay. And then we have 2 Moberg smokers, which are the old traditional offset that my friend Sonny Moberg makes. They're awesome.
What's your favorite smoker?
If I'm cooking, I love the offsets. Okay. Because that's what I grew up on, and
that's easier for you?
I don't know if it's easier. It's just more. It's more intuitive, so you can have more control over it. I love the Oilers that we use, but I'm just stubborn. My wife would probably tell you, and so like my uncle's smoker that we got, it didn't even have temp gauges on it, and it was just like, I'm not going to put temp gauges on it because he didn't put temp gauges on.
But you know what, you learned how to do that without the temp gauges.
Yeah.
And if you're good, you can do that.
Put your hand next to the fire.
Yeah.
You know, that'll tell you how hot it is. And
experience.
Yeah, and so that's great when I'm cooking, but you know, especially when we're bringing people in training, it's a lot harder. So
could you imagine having 10 restaurants with no heat, with no gauges? No,
that'd be terrifying.
It'd be terrifying. Yeah, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
This brisket's half cooked. You're like, who was cooking this?
So you opened up Magnolia, and when you first opened up Magnolia, what was your most memorable thing when you opened up Magnolia? Was it a sigh of relief for you to be out of the trailer, or was it harder than you thought? What was your most memorable moment when you opened up Magnolia?
I think the opening, you know, was a big deal for us, and it was one of those where we had planned it. We were going to open in March, and we ended up not opening until August. And so I think we stopped the food truck in like May or something like that. So we even went a couple months where we weren't even doing anything. We were just every day was trying to get the restaurant open. And so when we opened in August, some friends of ours, Jeff and Emily McLaughlin, who'd been big supporters of ours, they were there at like 2 in the morning. They wanted to be the first in line. And they're just, you know, great people, but when we opened, it was such this crazy where you're like, I don't know how this is going to go. You know, just being,
you don't know how it's going to go.
This, you know, the food truck was great, but is this going to translate and whatever? And I still remember when we opened, I think Emma opened the door, and as soon as Emily and Jeff walked in, and it was all a bunch of our friends that waited, came in, and friends but customers too, and Emma, they all just started crying. And it was just such a cool moment of like, you know, like, yeah, we did it. We transitioned to the restaurant. And if you have people like that your customers that care about you and don't just care about the food, but, you know, are happy that we're, you know, successful, that was big. And then we had to actually work and do it, you know, but it was such a cool moment of, you know, this is going to work. You know, people are here, people are in line, and you know, it's been fun.
So I have a question, and I don't know how to explain this to people. Maybe you have. I'm sure you've been asked it. When people come in and look at the price on the menu and they think it's too expensive, why doesn't it translate to them? Look, this building wasn't free. The street's not free. Our taxes aren't free. Our employees aren't free. Those new smokers we had to build that back. The quality meat we buy. How do you translate that? Have you had to translate that to somebody without sounding like being like you're being aggressive, which you're not. You're never aggressive, but I just how do you make that transition to people?
Especially my wife does a lot of work, and our team, Ryan Schmidt, who's our director of ops, does a great job, and all our managers do a good job. But talking with the cashiers, and the biggest thing that we try to translate to them is this is why we do it. This is why we use this really good quality beef and this really good quality pork. This is why we care about the customers and all this. It's not just because we need their money.
Right.
Yeah, we need their money to pay the bills and to pay your salary. You know, but and that's what we're talking about. You know, maybe 10% of folks, they're going to come in and they're going to say this is too expensive, and that's fine. You know, because there's, you know, Applebee's is in business, right? I mean, there's a lot of places that make really good money that serve that market, and a lot of people, you know, don't eat at Del Frisco's every day. They need something like that. So for us, we made it a point to say, this is who we are, farm to smoker, this is what we do, and this is why we do it. And like I'm saying, 10% maybe doesn't get it. Most of the time, people go, wow, this is really good. Like, this beef is really good, this pork is really good. All the sides are homemade. You know, we use a lot of organic vegetables, stuff like that, and it translates. You know, but some people it's expensive, and I get it. You know, that's how it is.
That's just the way it is. So you got Magnolia under control. Then you decided to do the river.
Yeah.
And now you've got the river open, which is a behemoth. I walked in the first time, literally, I just looked around, I was like this. I was amazed at myself, knowing how many restaurants I've been involved with.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy, I thought to myself, you know, I thought to myself, oh, poor Travis. That's what I thought to myself. I really did.
That's the truth, yeah.
So you got that big bad boy open, and it's man, you got parking, you've got, it's nice out there near the traffic you have in Magnolia.
Yeah.
You got tons of room. You feel the love over there? Everything going good?
It's been fun. It's been, you know, we kind of started slow over there, and then I think, you know, too, it's like, this is just the restaurant industry, but you rush to get open, and then you're just doing on-the-job training, and, you know, it took us a while to kind of hit our stride. But right now, especially, I feel really, really strongly about the team we have over there, from kitchen, front of house, everybody.
Sure.
And so I feel like we're hitting our stride. You know, we do more dinner business over there.
Sure.
The bar has 24 taps. You know,
Yeah.
we got TX on tap,
Right,
we got
yeah.
vodka on tap, Tito's on tap, and
Oh, that's great.
so it's more of a hangout, you know.
Tito's
Magnolia.
on tap.
Yeah.
Tito's on tap.
Yeah.
Those are my
Not
two
messing
favorite
around.
things.
Yeah. Trey Chapman special.
That's funny.
It's been, and we have big patio, and
Huge
then
patio.
you've seen too. We have that outdoor space.
Do you think, and I think, and you and I talked about this earlier about the distance it is from where, I think because of the distance where you are, that's why your lunches is not big.
Yeah.
But as they build that area up over there, I think your lunches will catch up with your dinners eventually.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen.
Yeah, I hope so. I think, you know, we get a lot of traffic from the base that's there. You know, we do a decent amount, but it's that dinner crowd of the West Side folks.
Sure.
That maybe don't want to drive all the way into downtown or drive in, you know, somewhere. We get a good deal, but it's been fun.
Has it hurt Magnolia business at all, traffic-wise?
It actually did the opposite. It was the craziest thing, but when we opened, we got busier at Magnolia, which I didn't understand at all.
I thought most people might have transferred over to the river, you know?
The only thing I can think is people are like, oh, maybe it's slower now, and so, you know, we'll go there. But our first 6 months at the river, the Magnolia sales went up from where they were at, and you're just like, no, it was awesome. I mean, it's been great. So I think it's fun, and they're far enough apart, you know, where it helps, and so it's been great.
They are worlds apart. That's a whole different area because people nowadays are geographical. Most people will only go like a 2-3 mile radius of what they do to eat, shop, and a lot of them don't even have cars. You know, they'll ride bikes or they'll walk. So yeah, they're geographical. So you're right, it is far enough away. It seems like another world over there, really.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that whole river district is
it's going to be nice.
They're building it up, and we have a ton of folks that live in the area. We live right over there in Westworth Village, and so a ton of people over there. But it's kind of like the only neighborhood thing. There's Salsa Limon.
Yeah, I love Salsa Limon.
Lettuce Cook is another good place over there, but you know, we're kind of the only ones over there. So
y'all are the pioneers.
Yeah, I guess.
People went west.
Yeah. Well, that's even Magnolia. You know, it was kind of like our thought was we want to be, you know, we want our restaurants to be a part of the community, and so I don't want to go to some box, you know, shopping center or whatever, because you could do that anywhere, Frisco, Plano, and you're going to make money. But you know, for us, it was like we want to be a part of the change, want to be a part of kind of building up this area, and you know, we grew up in Fort Worth, and so it was like this is a cool opportunity. The building's an old VFW building that's been there for like 50 years. And had 50 years of cigarette smoke.
Oh my God! I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so,
dark and dingy.
It was a bit of a construction project.
Oh boy!
You know,
I mean to tell you, what was your most favorite moment? Your and Emma's most favorite moment when you got the river district open. What was your biggest sigh of relief, or your favorite thing? Was it just that you, oh my God, we're open, or was there something else about it?
Yeah, I think one of the coolest was and unfortunately, we only had probably 2 months, April and May, you know, end of April and May, until it just got way too hot and people didn't want to sit on the patio. But there was one day where we had some music on the patio, and then we had the bar windows open. We have those big bar windows, and it was the whole bar was full, the whole patio was full, everybody's hanging out drinking. You know, they're playing music, and it was like, this is exactly what we wanted.
This is what you wanted.
Well, little kids are running around, parents are getting drunk, you know, but the little kids are running around playing, and they're not worried about them, and you know, people just hanging out, and that was cool,
life.
because that's the one drawback of Magnolia is it's not big, you know, so it's a lot of times, you know, you're eating and somebody's standing over your shoulder to get a table.
You can't relax. You're trying to scarf it down.
We really wanted to have that vibe over there with the bar and everything, and it's been good, you know. Hopefully we'll get some good weather soon, and it'll do it again, you know. So
okay, so now we're going to talk about food here in a couple minutes. Before we talk about all the rest of the food, I want to talk about the thing that everybody knows you for.
Yeah.
And we're going to this deal right here. They're going to show it right here on the camera. These are what is the proper term for these?
So we call those bacon burn-ins.
Bacon burn-ins.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I call them. Somebody saw social media call them pork burn-ins. Somebody know it's bacon burn-ins.
Yeah.
So where did your inspiration, your creativity, because you're the guy that came up with this. I'm going to set the record straight now. My work basis on social media. And Daniel Vaughn knows. He's the only other one. He's the actual one that started the whole thing about standing up for you.
Yeah.
Where'd the inspiration come from, and how'd you do this? How'd you create these?
Yeah, so we did, this would have been 2013 maybe, or something like that, and we did one of our meat club dinners, and I was just being annoying, and I was like, this is going to be bacon, so the theme of it is bacon, so every single dish had bacon. So our potato salad, we did that the first time at the same event. It has bacon, cheese, and all this stuff in it, and so my thought was, you know, brisket burn-ins are like a Kansas City barbecue thing. They take the fatty end of the brisket, cut it off, you know, chop it up into chunks, sauce it, put it back on. Well, you do that in Texas, you'll get thrown out. You know what I mean? It's like you're not doing that to a brisket. So, too, it was just as simple as like, well, I'm going to make a bunch of bacon, slabs of bacon. What if we did a burn-in with the slab of bacon? And that was the first, you know, course or whatever of the dinner. And I'm telling you, that was all anyone ate. They were eating. I couldn't make enough. Like they
popcorn?
were eating, and we actually had so much left over that
look at how thick they are. And the thing is, you can look, guys. Look, you can see how thick these things are. And this is not for this program.
No.
You go in there and eat. They're like this all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the first one, Jan and I followed her the first ones. I had to give in to her, you know, because she's the one. Maybe I did. I'm not sure what I did. But she said, Trey. Yeah. You know the counter's back there. We can order another order.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that was the first time we did them, and even when we did the food trucks, it wasn't like, hey, if we open a restaurant maybe one day. It was just, we're just cooking for our friends, you know, whatever. And then when we opened the food truck, you know, I had a whole recipe book, and I was like, well, you know, this worked really well at the pop-ups. Maybe this did, and so, you know, we put those on the menu at the food truck. And then that was really what we became known for, you know, it's kind of a whole thing.
And now they're on menus, barbecue menus all over the place.
It's amazing.
All over the place. And isn't there a company selling them now, too? Isn't BBQ somebody selling them? Did I see a thing on social media?
Well, Daniel, yeah, somebody messaged me about it, like Kroger. Kroger's doing pork belly bites, I think is what they call them. But it's kind of like basically this, but like a jerky kind of thing that they're doing, and that was a part of his article that he wrote.
Does that make you feel good? It should make you feel good.
It's crazy, you know. I mean, especially in the food, you know, business. It's like you make a recipe, and then it's kind of, you know,
it's all free game.
Yeah, so
free game.
At first, it annoyed me, and there was a couple guys that did them, and this is like in the food truck way back in the day, and I was like, hey, you know, if you're gonna do them, can you at least tell? You know, I'm just trying to pay the bills over here, man. Like. And then now it's almost, you know, like I take a lot of pride in it, you know, that it's, you know, something that we did, and
here we go, passion.
And, yeah, I mean, it's cool. And then too, you'll see people. There's a place in East Texas that does different, like Big Red. They did one time. They do different flavors and stuff. So it's cool to see all the different ways that people have, you know, put their own spin on it.
Have you done a bacon burn-in hamburger yet?
No, you can get them on a burger. Yeah. And you've had our Heim burger, we call it. It's double meat, double cheese, and then we take the burn-ins and we make a jam out of it. And so we chop them real fine in the food processor, and then cook it down with some onions and then little buffalo trace. Yeah. And then we mix that up, and so that goes on all our burgers. And if you like the burn-ins, you like the burn-in jam, you know. So
the burger's phenomenal. It's thick. Mm-hmm. It's got a fantastic bun that has to me, the two biggest things are meat and the bun. Yeah. On a burger. Yeah. Because they have to have that flavor to them. Mm-hmm. And the texture on your bun, it's got lots of flavor, and the meat's got flavor, and that jam was just fantastic. It rolled across my tongue. I was like, oh my God. The flavor rodeo, that's where I went to.
I love it. Yeah. And so those burgers, we take the 44 Farms ground beef that we get in, and then we mix it with smoked brisket. So it's, I think, like a 6-to-1 ratio or something like that. So too, when you have a bite of the burger, you get a little piece of brisket here or there. So it's like a texture thing. You know, we just try to do something different. A lot of people do smoked burgers now, and so we started those at Magnolia and just did them only on Mondays because I had a 24-inch flat top. And so it was like we couldn't. The second that we started, 4 o'clock, there's that whole thing is full of burger patties. And so then we finally, got money and upgraded. Now we have a 60-inch, and then I think at the river we have a 72-inch. I mean, the thing's gigantic. So
isn't it great? Yeah. Isn't it great to try something, to create something in your mind, take it from inception and make it real, and not only that, people fall in love with it until you just increase.
It's awesome, and too, guys like you and people that are really good customers will tell me, hey, you should do this or try this, and so even you get people that love your food that are like have good ideas. And the potato skins, our potato skins were like that, because we're, not to get like too...
I haven't tried that because it's Heim barbecue, Travis.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we have a great, salad. Like, who cares? Whatever. But the potato skins, we were taking all of our potatoes and peeling them. For the potato salad, we bake them first, and do that.
Were you throwing them away?
We were throwing them away. And so I went in the kitchen and I saw, 2 trash bags basically full of potato skins. I was like, there's got to be something we can do with this, because we try to have as little waste as possible. And so what we did, then they're already baked, so they're kind of dry. Then we fry them, and then just cover them with brisket and our mac and cheese sauce and everything else.
See, that's a great story.
And then that became a whole thing. It's like...
I tell everybody, food always tastes better with a story. Here you go. You're looking at potato skins in the trash can, and that's how you can say that's a great story.
Yeah,
will you grab that, please, for me, sir?
Yeah,
those delicious looking.
We don't want to drop these.
No, you don't.
There you go.
My gosh, look at these.
Yeah. And so those are our Diamond Ranch beef ribs.
Diamond Ranch beef ribs. Look at those. Look at that right
really
there.
Really good stuff, yeah.
Look at that bark.
Oh, yeah.
Again, look at that right there. Look at that, y'all. Look at that bark. Oh, I don't want to tump it over, but here, let's look at the bark right here.
Yeah.
All right, so Travis, what's on? How do you create your bark on your
so we use it's traditional kind of salt and pepper rub. In Texas you don't want to put much to it.
No, you don't.
But we have a little garlic, a little cayenne. There's some paprika, and then one of the biggest things on the brisket, we'll do we take just yellow hot dog mustard, and then mix it with a little of our pickle juice, and then mix that up, and then we'll slather that on before we apply the rub, and so that kind of helps that rub to stick a little bit. And
awesome.
It's one of those things you don't want. I hate like the burnt ends. They have a big, a lot of brown sugar, so you get that spice and everything. That's what we want in that dish. With the brisket, with the beef rib, we're buying this really, really good quality beef. I want it to taste like beef.
Right.
I don't want it to taste like sugar. I don't want it to taste like whatever. So just try to keep it simple, and then just cook it right.
What is Travis's favorite spice? If you only had one thing, one spice or one ingredient to work with, if someone said, "Is all you got?" Like if you're going to be on a show, what would be your favorite one?
I mean, I'd say salt's probably the most important, but I think everything we do. Yeah. Well, he would know. I mean, he's a great chef. But everything else we do has black pepper in it.
Yeah.
And that's a very Texas thing. But even our mac and cheese, our baked potato salad. So
so let's talk about those more. So this is your mac and cheese, which I love.
Thank you.
And this is your
baked potato salad.
Baked potato salad.
And so it's a little different, the baked potato salads. It's basically like a loaded baked potato.
Yeah, What's all in there?
So we did it a little different. A little mayo potato salad. Whenever we're doing a recipe, and especially working with the guys in the kitchen, they'll say, "Oh, we need to do this," whatever, like a coleslaw or something.
Sure.
And so I'll say, "Well, tell me about the best coleslaw you've ever had." And it's one of those where it's like, is it worth doing, type of thing. And so with the potato salad, it was like, you could do the mayo, you could do the mustard, boring, but we wanted to mix it up and do something different. So it actually it's a sour cream base instead of a mayo base. There's a little bit of ranch in there. We have, obviously, the bacon, the cheddar cheese, green onions, all that. And there's a guy the other day that was like, "I hate potato salad," came up to me at the restaurant. "I hate potato salad, but I really like yours." I was like, all right, well, thanks. Yeah, I guess that's a win. So. And then the mac and cheese, that's something my mom and I developed. Two things I wanted to add from the food truck that we couldn't do there to Magnolia. Had to have a great mac and cheese, and then I wanted to do fries and really have a good French fry. And so the mac and cheese, we probably spent 2 or 3 months doing different cheese sauces. Holding it, because you got to hold it for a long period of time.
And it's got to taste good after you hold it. That's the thing you can't. Boy, I tell you what, you talk about something that's excelled. The last 5 years, mac and cheese has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
It's taken the skyrocket. It's almost every menu, that and chicken.
I know you've seen our Big Cat sandwich.
Yeah.
But our Big Cat sandwich was a good friend of ours whose name is Big Cat, nickname. And he would come in, he would come to the food truck, come to the restaurant all the time. And he'd always, I'd see him, he'd bring in some bread to make a sandwich, because he was doing different stuff. And he came in one time and had taken a chopped brisket sandwich and then put mac and cheese on top of it and ate it.
Oh.
And so the next time he came in, we put a little sign up and said the Big Cat sandwich. And that is our #1 selling sandwich. And it's literally 8 ounces of mac and cheese on top of a sandwich.
So that's another good story.
Just a carb
You need to write all this
overload.
stuff down so you can write a book someday.
Don't forget.
Will you grab those? Can you grab your pies
absolutely.
there? Now I want you to tell me these.
I know you like these.
Yeah, I like these. You saw I put them on. I put them on. I put them on. These are incredible. So tell me the story behind these, please.
Yeah. So my mother, another big part of our success. She's worked with us for a long time. And so she kind of runs our commissary kitchen, does a lot of the sides and stuff like that. And so we sat down and we're really trying to, there's things we can do at the river that we can't do at Magnolia. What do we want to do? And so she does a great cobbler. We do a really good cobbler over there that we kind of changes every day, every other day. And then my wife's idea was to do hand pies.
Right.
And so we worked on them for a while. And so this is my mother's recipe. But these are our salted caramel apple hand pies.
Yeah, I know.
And
I'm gonna tell you something.
Oh yeah.
I think we had 2. Did we go back? Did we get 2? Yeah. We went back, got another one. It was that good. Yeah.
I love them. Yeah.
It was delicious. So Heim truly is a family affair.
Yeah. It's been crazy, but my
is your uncle still alive?
No, he
Okay.
He actually, and this is another part of the story that's kind of crazy. He gave me that smoker. And we saw him, and he was in good spirits and everything. And then that night he had a heart attack and passed.
Oh my gosh!
And it's weird to think about that stuff, but my grandmother, who has passed now, but when she was alive, said she felt like he was kind of passing it on to me. And then after that happened, and I was like, well, that's crazy. So we named that smoker Roger, and that's his. And I have it just in storage because I don't want anything to happen to it. But we talked about putting it up at the river.
You need to redo it and put it on display. Yeah. Okay, we've got a few minutes left here. I want to ask you, what's the one thing that you and Emma would want to relay to everybody in the country, everybody in the world that likes barbecue, that you're trying to achieve at your restaurants? I know it's not about profit. You have to have it, but y'all are more about that. You're more about family and feeding. But what is the #1 thing y'all are trying to achieve?
That's a great question. I think. We're real big about when we talk with our employees, this is how we want to interact with customers. And so if you had a mission statement or whatever you want to call it, cheesy thing is we want to serve the best food we possibly can in the most welcoming and inclusive environment possible.
Perfect.
And so when you separate that out, you got to start with good food, because nobody cares if you have subpar barbecue.
Right.
So we want to do, if we're doing barbecue, if we're doing burgers, if we're doing coleslaw, if it's on the menu, it better be the best thing we can do. And then the second part of it is when you come in, Trey Chapman, when anybody comes in, that they feel welcome, that they feel like people remember their name, all that stuff, and the key to that is having employees who care. And we're really blessed to have a lot of folks that really care about it. So.
Perfect. HeimBarbecue.com.
HeimBarbecue.com.
Heim on Magnolia. Heim on the river.
Yep.
And you still have catering and stuff.
Meat Force One. Our
Meat
food
Force
truck.
One.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, please go to our website. Travis, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Trey.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it. Yeah.
Go to our website, treyschowdown.com. We've got the new Best Chicken article we did for ABC on there that was released today on our ABC special. We'll have that video up on social media probably by this afternoon. Then tomorrow on Fox Good Day, if you're in the DFW area, you can watch Fox 4 Good Day. We're doing the best chilies we have in North Texas, which the top chilies. Heim Barbecue's chili on there.
Awesome.
I put a bunch of jalapenos on there too.
Oh yeah. You like it spicy.
Yeah, I like it spicy. So we've got that tomorrow. That's going to be good. Fox 4 tomorrow. Good Day between 7 and 9 a.m. Just watch the whole cast. It's going to be fun. Again, TreyChowdown.com, HeimBarbecue.com. If you're going to visit one, I'd prefer you go to the river because I like the river, but I like Magnolia too, but I like the atmosphere. I like the openness of the river.
Thank you.
And you got to try these right here.
Oh, yeah.
The bacon burn-ins, which are right here. These got bacon burn-ins and the ribs, and of course.
Oh, yeah. A little dessert.
I'd call these moms.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd call those moms. Yeah. I really would. So other than that, Travis, anything else? Y'all have anything major coming up?
No, we're just trying to keep growing, you know, and building, and hopefully we can open some other stores and employ some more people. And
perfect.
I'll go anywhere where they want barbecue, you know.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. Thank y'all. See y'all next week, same time, same bat channel. Trey's Chowdown Live. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Trey Chapman, publisher of Trey'sChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs, to sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Trey's Chowdown Live.